Listen up, because this is not your average celebrity caught slipping moment. This is the kind of scandal that makes reality TV look like Sesame Street. The internet is in absolute chaos right now. Timelines are melting and group chats are exploding because Mama D just dropped the nuclear bomb we didn't even know was ticking. Chrissy Lampkin and Camron, yes, that Camron, have been caught in the type of leaked footage that makes you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, love, and Harlem politics. And if you think this is just some messy late night drama clip, think again. This isn't a scandal, it's a straight-up demolition job on reputations, friendships, and maybe even entire careers. But here's the kicker. What if I told you Jim Jones is right in the middle of this? Not as a victim, not as a bystander, but as someone whose entire empire might have been built on lies. What really went down behind the scenes? How deep does Mama D's tea run? And most importantly, how the hell did nobody see this coming? Grab your popcorn, because once we unpack this, you'll never look at Chrissy, Cam, or Jim the same way again. Asterisk. Alright, listen closely, because the story you are about to hear is not your typical celebrity drama. This is the kind of scandal that crawls into every corner of the industry and leaves people questioning who they can really trust. And it all begins with Mama D exposing a video that has set the internet on fire. A video that involves Chrissy Lampkin and none other than Camron. And while everyone is scrambling to piece together the details, the truth is far more twisted than anyone expected, because what looks like a leaked video of private moments is actually the opening shot of a conspiracy years in the making. And once you hear how deep this goes, you will never look at Chrissy, Jim Jones, or Camron the same way again. Chrissy, as everyone knows, has always been front and center in Jim Jones's life. Not just as his partner, but as his loudest defender, his most relentless supporter, and his fiercest critic when things went wrong. Her fiery energy on love and hip-hop made her impossible to ignore, and her constant battles over marriage, respect, and loyalty turned her into one of the most polarizing figures in hip-hop reality television. But Mama D claims what we saw on screen was only a fraction of what was happening behind closed doors, and that Chrissy's biggest battles were not with cast members or with Jim himself, but with forces she did not even realize were pulling strings behind the curtain. Because while Chrissy fought for her relationship in public, Camron, the longtime friend and so-called brother of Jim Jones, was allegedly working quietly behind the scenes to make sure she never truly won. Camron's reputation has always been larger than life. Dipset founder, Harlem icon, fearless entrepreneur, and unapologetic troublemaker. But according to what Mama D has put out there, he was more than just Jim's collaborator. He was allegedly a puppet master orchestrating chaos whenever it suited his personal interests. And here's the twist that has shocked fans the most. The leaked video of Chrissy was not some accident. It was not a random hack. It was a planned strike. A strategic release designed to cause the maximum amount of damage at the exact moment it would hurt her and Jim the most, and the person suspected of orchestrating that timing was none other than Cam himself. The logic, according to Mama D, is brutally simple. Cam understood that Jim's loyalty to Chrissy was the one thing strong enough to distract him, divide his focus, and even pull him away from the tight grip Cam had on his career and his personal life. So if Chrissy could be humiliated, if she could be reduced in Jim's eyes and in the public's perception, then Cam's influence over Jim would remain unchallenged. Think about it, Jim Jones has built his image on loyalty, the streets, his people, and his family. And yet loyalty can also be the biggest weakness. Because when you trust someone completely, you stop questioning their motives, and that is exactly how Cam allegedly kept control. By presenting himself as the trusted brother while at the same time planting seeds of doubt, arranging conflicts, and making sure Chrissy always looked like the problem. Mama D went even further, claiming she had spoken to insiders who said Cam would often slide into situations between Jim and Chrissy, sometimes advising Jim in a way that created distance, sometimes twisting Chrissy's words until arguments erupted, and over time those moments built up a wall between the couple that they could never fully tear down. Now, if you are thinking this sounds like some wild soap opera, remember the hip-hop history is full of betrayals, power struggles, and shocking backstabbing. And this revelation fits perfectly into a pattern, where the people closest to you are the ones with the most power to destroy you. The leaked video then becomes more than just a scandal. It becomes a weapon, a carefully timed bomb that exploded right when Chrissy and Jim appeared to be rebuilding their bond and presenting a united front again. The result was predictable. The internet went into meltdown, Chrissy was dragged across timelines, Jim was put on the spot about his loyalty, and the relationship that had survived countless storms suddenly looked like it was cracking under pressure once more. What makes this even more sinister is that Mama D insists this is not just about petty drama, it is about long-term control. About Cam ensuring that Jim never strayed too far, never fully prioritized Chrissy, and never made choices without considering how it would affect the man he saw as a brother. And the sad irony is that Jim's own loyalty may have blinded him to the manipulation, because for years fans have seen him ride for Cam, defend him, collaborate with him, and call him family. All while not realizing that family may have been the very person setting him up to fail in love. This is where Mama D's tea gets especially dark, because she claims that Cam's agenda was never just about music or money. It was about power, about being the one constant figure Jim could never separate from, ensuring that no matter what success Jim achieved, it would always be tied back to Cam's shadow, and no matter what love he tried to build with Chrissy, it would always be undercut by quiet manipulation. That is why the leaked video is such a turning point. It is the smoking gun that makes people question not just Chrissy's choices, but the entire foundation of Jim and Cam's bond. And when you look back at all the drama on Love and Hip Hop, all the explosive fights, all the unresolved tension, suddenly it does not look so random anymore. It looks like the outcome of years of behind-the-scenes influence orchestrated by someone who knew exactly how to push buttons without ever getting his own hands dirty. And if that is true, then this scandal is not just about Chrissy's embarrassment. It is about exposing an entire network of manipulation that has been allowed to grow unchecked for years. A network where Cam sits comfortably at the center while everyone else plays their role without even realizing it, and that is why the world is watching so closely right now. Because if Mama D is telling the truth, then this leak is only the beginning of a much larger unraveling. As the fallout from this shocking leak continued to spread across every corner of social media, the narrative only grew darker and more complicated. Because what started as whispers about Chrissy and Cam quickly turned into an avalanche of accusations, with people claiming they had receipts, anonymous sources sliding into DMs with stories that sounded too wild to be fake, and leaked messages circulating that painted a picture of betrayal so carefully crafted it almost felt like a movie script. According to one supposed insider, Chrissy had been warned months before about certain people in Jim's circle who were not to be trusted, but she brushed it off thinking it was just the usual reality TV paranoia. Little did she know those warnings were breadcrumbs leading directly to the very trap that has now exploded in her face. The internet has no mercy, and fans who once supported her were suddenly dissecting every old clip from Love and Hip Hop like it was evidence in a courtroom, pointing out body language, side eyes, and conversations that seemed harmless back then but now look like clear signs of manipulation. One viral tweet with over 100,000 likes read, "How do we not see Cam planting seeds from day one? He was always too involved in Jim's business, always lurking when Chrissy tried to get her man's attention." Another trending comment suggested that Mama D's so-called receipts were just the tip of the iceberg and that the real story was being silenced to protect powerful connections that reach far beyond Harlem. Meanwhile, Jim Jones has been caught in the middle, looking more conflicted than ever. On one hand, he has to defend Chrissy because publicly abandoning her would make him look like the worst partner in the industry. But on the other hand, how does he go against Cam, who has been with him since the very beginning, the man tied to his career, his image, his legacy? That is the type of impossible choice that breaks even the strongest people. And it is exactly why this scandal has fascinated the world, because everyone loves to watch when loyalty and betrayal collide head-on. Reports even began surfacing about massive arguments behind closed doors, with anonymous neighbors claiming they heard shouting matches at ungodly hours, door slamming, and even expensive cars peeling out of driveways in the middle of the night. Some gossip blogs are saying Jim has been making frantic calls to his label, to his management, and even to lawyers trying to figure out who actually leaked the footage, not just to protect Chrissy's name, but to save his own reputation before this spirals into career suicide. But the most bizarre twist came when a supposed former associate of Cam's stepped forward under a fake name to claim that this was all part of a bigger play involving money laundering, shady real estate deals, and a hidden network of connections that link entertainment figures to political power players. Now, whether that part is true or not is anyone's guess, but the way it was presented has only fueled the sense that this is much more than just personal drama. It is the kind of layered scandal where every day a new detail comes out and makes you question who the real villain is. Chrissy's been silent for the most part, which in itself has created even more chaos because people are filling in the silence with their own theories. Some say she's quietly preparing to fight back with her own receipts. Others believe she has been pressured into silence by forces way bigger than her relationship. And the most cynical voices are suggesting she might even have cut a private deal to keep the real dirt buried for good. And yet Mama D seems to be everywhere, popping up in interviews, dropping cryptic posts, hinting that she has more evidence that will make this leak look small in comparison. And the more she talks, the more the public leans in, desperate to hear what bombshell comes next. It is a masterclass in how to keep people hooked, a scandal that feels like a reality show that refuses to end. Only this time the stakes are reputations, money, and entire careers. Fans are questioning how Jim will recover from this because no matter what he says, half the audience will think he is lying. If he defends Chrissy, then people will accuse him of covering up. If he turns on Cam, then years of brotherhood collapse. In an instant, if he says nothing, he looks weak. And in this industry, weakness is blood in the water for everyone waiting to take your spot. That is why the tension has reached fever pitch, because the next move from any of these players could change everything. One press conference, one leaked text, one emotional Instagram live could send this entire scandal into overdrive. And the frightening part is nobody knows if the truth is already out or if the worst secrets are still waiting to be revealed. As the dust continued to settle from Mama D's explosive revelations, the public was left reeling and questions began circulating faster than any tweet or Instagram story could keep up with, because suddenly the scandal was no longer just about a leaked video. It had evolved into a full-blown investigation of loyalties and hidden agendas, with fans and insiders alike speculating about the lengths Camron had gone to manipulate both Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin, and the more people dug, the deeper the rabbit hole seemed to go, with rumors suggesting secret meetings, private business arrangements, and countless moments where what looked like friendship was actually strategic maneuvering designed to keep Cam at the center of every decision and every move, while Jim and Chrissy unknowingly played into a narrative crafted by someone who had always been there to monitor, influence, and control the outcomes. And the irony was cruel, because fans had long praised Jim for his loyalty and Chrissy for her strength, yet those very qualities made them vulnerable to the kind of behind-the-scenes manipulation that could ruin reputations without anyone realizing what was happening until it was far too late. Social media was ablaze with heated debates, with some people accusing Chrissy of overreacting while others condemned Cam for allegedly orchestrating events like a chess player setting up pawns, and the controversy even seeped into music forums, where fans dissected lyrics, interviews, and past performances looking for hidden references to the scandal, proving that when celebrity drama reaches this level, every detail is scrutinized, analyzed, and turned into evidence in a court of public opinion. Meanwhile, supposed insiders hinted that the financial implications of the scandal could be massive, pointing to luxury purchases, business deals, and endorsements that were all potentially influenced by the shifting dynamics between Jim, Chrissy, and Cam. And the thought that someone could use personal relationships as leverage for career advancement made the story even more shocking and horrifying for people who had looked up to these figures as role models in the industry. Chrissy herself remained largely quiet, fueling speculation that she might be plotting a countermove, perhaps ready to release her own evidence or even confront Cam publicly, while Jim faced the impossible task of reconciling his public image with the private reality that his so-called brother may have been the architect of his turmoil, and every action he took from that point forward would be scrutinized, judged, and dissected by millions. Anonymous sources claimed that lawyers were being consulted, private meetings were being held to assess potential damages, and that the entertainment industry was watching with bated breath to see if this scandal would trigger a ripple effect that could touch other influential figures connected to Cam or Jim. Because when someone at this level of influence is allegedly exposed for manipulation, the consequences do not stay contained. They expand, infiltrate, and shake entire networks of people who thought they were untouchable. At the same time, fans began sharing theories about how this scandal might change the future of hip-hop reality television, with some saying Chrissy's career could be irreparably damaged, while others argued that the exposure might actually elevate her status as a survivor who navigated a minefield of betrayal and came out smarter. and the debate only added fuel to the fire as more alleged. Insiders came forward claiming that this was only the beginning of a series of revelations that would keep the public hooked for months. The emotional toll on all involved was clear because relationships were strained. Trust had been shattered, and reputations that took years to build were hanging by a thread. And in the middle of it all, Mama D continued to stir the pot, dropping subtle hints about what she had next, ensuring that no one could relax, no one could feel safe, and no one could pretend that they had control over the narrative anymore. Because when someone with her influence decides to expose the skeletons in the closet, it is only a matter of time before the full story comes out, and everyone who thought they were playing the game unnoticed suddenly finds themselves in the spotlight, scrambling to explain, defend, and survive. By the time the story had reached its current peak, it was evident that this scandal was far more than a simple celebrity mishap. It was a calculated series of moves that revealed how power, loyalty, and deception can intertwine to devastating effect, and the public remained captivated because every new detail suggested that the story was far from over, leaving everyone to wonder what would happen next, whether Jim and Chrissy could ever recover from the manipulation that had been perpetrated against them, and whether Cam would ever face accountability for the chaos he allegedly created. Now that you've seen the chaos, the manipulation, and the secrets that Mama D has exposed, it's time to ask yourself the hard questions, because this isn't just entertainment. This is a lesson in how power, loyalty, and betrayal collide right in front of our eyes, and the truth is, we all want to know what happens next. Will Jim ever realize the depth of Cam's interference? Can Chrissy recover from the public humiliation and emotional manipulation? And is Cam really untouchable, or is his empire about to crack under the weight of his own schemes? And we want to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us who you side with, and don't hold back, because this is the place to dissect every angle, every lie, and every shocking moment. Make sure you hit that like button if you were as stunned as we were when the video first dropped. Share this video with friends who need to see how deep this scandal really goes. And subscribe so you never miss a moment of breaking revelations, insider secrets, and the kind of drama that makes the internet explode. Because trust me, this story is far from over, and the next twist could change everything. So stay tuned, stay alert, and keep watching, because Mama D isn't done exposing the truth yet, and you won't want to miss a single detail.